Hey everyone, in this video I just wanted to compare and talk through the differences between the 2019 C9 and the 2020 C10. So first thing I've pulled up is the official LG website. So what we'll do is we'll just scroll down through this list and just talk through some of the spec listings on their official website. So I'm expecting a lot of these to be exactly the same. So obviously here initially we've got the pictures on the right, we've got the C9, on the left we've got the CX or C10. I'm going to call it the C10, I'm not going to call it the CX. Right, so coming down, display. Everything here, as you can see, resolution exactly the same, view angles same, wide color gamuts, perfect color same, pixel dimming same, ultra luminance pro same. When you get to, obviously this is where you have issues with websites and the design of the website. So just there you've got billion rich colors and you've got a tick on the left one, but then a few lines down you've got the same thing on the right hand side. So this is obviously where there's no real consistency when they're putting these websites together. Considering this is their official website, you would have thought that they'd at least have it so then these columns are consistent across each TV. So you've not got these extra columns, you've got billion rich colors twice there for no reason really. Anyway, coming down, so up until this point everything looks exactly the same. The black levels, you've got infinite contrast. I'm sure if we go further down we'll probably find that listing further down. Coming on to video, so picture modes, yes, both have them. HDR, cinema, HDR listed on the C10 and 4K cinema HDR listed on the LG OLED. I'm guessing that's just branding. It's just going to be the way that they've decided to take 4K off, just because everybody knows it's a 4K TV by now. So HDR effect, both have it. HLG same, HDR10 Pro same. Picture processor, obviously this is where they will differ. The C9 comes with the A9 Gen 2 intelligent processor. The C10 obviously comes with the A9 Gen 3 and they're calling it the AI processor 4K. Having looked into it a bit more, obviously there is a lot more processing in terms of face details, color remapping and all this kind of stuff that goes alongside the Dolby Vision IQ. A lot of that is what this Gen 3 processor will be optimized for and set up for. Upscalers, both of them have 4K upscalers, dynamic tone mapping, so both exactly the same HDR dynamic tone mapping Pro. Coming on to HEVC, so on this you've got no real details on the C9. On the C10 obviously you've got 4K at 120p, 10-bit, and VP9 is exactly the same on both of them. Deep learning, they've listed it as AI picture on the C10, whereas on the C9 they've just got tick. AI brightness, 4K HFR, 2K HFR. I'm guessing that's 4K high frame rate and 2K high frame rate. They're both exactly the same. OLED Motion Pro, same. Image enhancing, so this is where obviously it differentiates a little. The filmmaker mode, I believe, is just a rename for the calibrated ISF calibrated mode. It is automatically engaged as far as I'm aware, and it ties into the Dolby Vision IQ. There's an option in one of the settings, I believe, where if you don't like the way that the screen's auto brightness affects the picture settings, you can actually go in and turn that off. HIG, obviously it's got nothing listed for the C9. All of these are looking like new features. The AI upscale, I'm pretty sure we saw that earlier on, if not further down. So you've got Dolby Vision IQ, it's officially G-Sync compatible, FreeSync is ticked, color accuracy, so it's got no listing on the C10 on their website, but obviously this is one of the things I mentioned where it may just be the way that the website's actually laid out. Dolby Vision, obviously the C9 has that. Advanced HDR by Technicolor, yep, it has that. And then a few other things where it's object depth enhancer, advanced color enhancer, and quad step and noise reduction. A lot of this is obviously picture processing, frequency based sharpness enhancer. So now coming down onto the audio section, this is the main crux of what I wanted to make this video about. So this actually relates to a comment that was posted on one of my videos, where it may have been the comparison video I did previously, but somebody posted down to the fact that the DTS decoder has been removed from the C10 compared to the C9. So coming down, surround sound, surround mode, obviously they've called it Dolby Surround, OLED Surround on the C9, and it's probably going to be exactly the same thing on the C10. If I remember correctly, I think they have made a few adjustments and a few improvements to the audio on the C10 compared to C9. But for me personally, obviously, as you guys all know, I've got a soundbar anyway. The sound on the C9 was very good, so obviously if they have improved on that with the C10, then that is a bonus. But for anybody who's serious about it, you want to go down the soundbar route anyway. So clear voice, they've got it listed as 3 compared to 4 on the C10. This is probably going to be some once again some improvements with regards to the built-in speakers, as opposed to anything that it's actually doing over ARC or eARC or pass-through. Dolby Atmos is on both, and then this is the important part, so the audio codecs. So firstly we'll start with the C9. So the C9 has got all the popular ones: Dolby Digital, EAC3, DTS HD, DTS Express, and then obviously you've got your Atmos and everything like that as well. On the left hand side, which is the C10, there's the omission of the DTS formats. I've pulled up another website which we'll have a look at a little later on, where in fact what I'll do is I'll just pull that in now. So this is a AVS forums thread that I actually found after I received that comment. And this is basically just a detailed description of everything that's new or different with regards to the C10. This thread is for CX and GX models, but there's certain bits that are important. So I'll just quickly highlight through those. So G-Sync compatibility inherited from C9, so no firmware update required, will be supported across 4 2020 models. So in theory, C9 should be G-Sync compatible. Built-in HDIG mode, once again inherit C9. AMD FreeSync compatible, available via future update, also is known as FreeSync, will be made available to the C9. So that's interesting. Obviously that's coming to the C9 as well. New filmmaker mode, obviously this is the one where it's always enabled, similarly to the Dolby Vision IQ. So it's the main selling point, it's the main enhancement for the C10 compared to the C9. Coming down a bit further, so obviously this way they have actually got some figures. So the Gen 3 CPU is reportedly 15% faster, and the GPU is 50% faster than the Gen 2. So that's a pretty decent improvement in these kind of things. Obviously because of the usage, it's not massively under stress in terms of what a TV would actually be using GPUs for. It mainly like the graphics and everything, WebOS, all the interactions, but I'm guessing it's just going to make it a lot more fluid. All the animations and everything, the videos that I posted with regards to how I like the animations, everything, the way that it's animated, and it bounces, and it's got a little bit of almost like a flex and a rebound to all of the animations. It's very Apple-esque in terms of how they've done the animations on the TV, and this is obviously something that would just lend a bit more assistance in terms of improving that and keeping it fast over time, so it doesn't just start to lag maybe a year, 2 years down the line. So coming down a bit further, obviously these are all some new features, some of them relevant, some of them not so much. This new sports alert feature, that's for me, for example, it won't be any use because I don't use it with the set-top box or anything like that. So those kind of things are obviously dependent on your usage basically. It's got some of the tech specs and everything here as well, but Motion Pro, Cinema Clear, panel dimming algorithms have been tweaked. So obviously that's probably to do with the pixel dimming in the OLED panel settings, where you can actually choose to have it on low or high. So basically if it detects a logo, it'll dim around it. Now coming down, this is obviously the key part. So the DTS internal decoder was removed. Technicolor mode was replaced with filmmaker mode, and Technicolor's advanced HDR format was removed. Lack of market traction probably. So, and expected, a lot of these things obviously weren't coming about. So if I come down further, now this is, so just here, so expected announcements, features via upgrades. So if I get it to there, just so then you can see where I'm actually reading. So DTS HD audio is not passed via eARC. LG was notified about this issue. Hopefully they will provide a fix by a future firmware update. Now the key thing about this is when it comes to audio and external devices. Now if you have, for example, a Blu-ray player, or in my case the Apple TV, let's say for example I've got one of the web apps or something, Apple TV Plus, something like that, or Infuse for example, where I've downloaded or I've ripped a Blu-ray that's in DTS format. That app will play it back, and if I've got it connected to my soundbar, it will play the audio straight through my soundbar and out, and basically then just send the picture to the TV. Where this becomes a problem is for people that don't have a soundbar. So for people that are going out and buying the C10 or the CX without purchasing a separate soundbar, because obviously they're not exactly cheap TVs, and they're set up and sold on the premise that the audio is massively improved compared to what most people would expect of flat panel TVs and OLED TVs in particular, because of the thinness of them. But say for example, I'll give you a scenario. So if we read further down, they've actually published, where's it gone? Yeah, so this bit. So what is the most accurate Dolby? Sorry, no, it's not that one. Is further down. So I'll give you the scenario and then I'll come back to this in a second. So the scenario is this: you're using your LG TV, you've got your Apple TV Plus, your Prime, your Netflix, all your apps installed directly onto your your LG TV, so onto your C10. You've not got any external devices plugged in. All of those apps at the moment do not get DTS pass through. So what's happening is your TV cannot play back DTS formats because they've removed the DTS decoder. And what's also happening is, yeah, so it's this bit. So the internal player cannot handle the emission of the DTS HD support. If you play a file with DTS, it says that your network or internet connection is down. The DTS internal decoder was removed. If you play files that have DTS audio with the internal video player via USB, the TV just says this video does not support audio. This is essentially what's going to happen, and this is regardless of whether you have a soundbar or if you don't, with regards to anything that you're playing from the TV. Now obviously you have to remember that this C10 has HDMI 2.1 and it supports eARC, and all of the 2020 soundbars, well, some at least they're top of the range, the SN11 RG soundbar also has full 2.1 HDMI and supports eARC. So you're in a situation where you've got the top of the range C series, the C10 65 inch, and you've got the top of the range soundbar, the 7.1.4 SN11 RG. You try and play something through, and it's difficult because not a lot of online applications will actually still use DTS. Most of them actually support Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, from what I've seen anyway. But obviously there is still a lot of content out there. A lot of stream TV series tend to be in DTS. A lot of them might have an alternative, so they might have a Dolby alternative, but a lot of them, from what I've seen, because obviously when I received that comment, I've gone away and I've done done a bit of research in terms of what I actually see in terms of having DTS, because most of the content I personally use tends to have either just 5.1 Dolby or Dolby Atmos. So there is still content out there. A lot of the older movies obviously were, the DTS was the more popular format back then, so a lot of the older movies will be in DTS or DTSX, DTS HD, those kind of formats. So with those, what's going to happen is you're trying to play it back on your very expensive piece of kit here, and that's if you've got the soundbar and TV, and basically neither of them can actually play that audio back. You're not going to be able to play that file back, because what's going to happen is the DTS format cannot be sent through over eORC. So whether your soundbar can play DTS or not, it doesn't make any difference, because it's just not going to receive the signal. If you had an external device, so if you had a Blu-ray player or the Apple TV Plus, the Apple TV, and you're playing that plugged directly into your soundbar and then pass your picture back to your TV, then that's fine. That will still work. But if you've got any applications installed directly on your TV, according to this, from what I've read up so far, it will not pass that audio through. Basically, you'll just get an error. And it seems like the C10, especially with this particular element with regards to the DTS, they've removed something very key from the actual usage of the product. Whether it's some sort of marketing strategy that they've got going forward. Obviously we've seen in the past with the HDR10 Plus with regards to LG, where that's not something that they're going to certify because it doesn't fall in line with their product strategy. And similarly with Samsung not going down the Dolby Vision route, because they don't think that paying for the Dolby Vision accreditation is something that they want to do. So they're almost using these things, and whoever they align with kind of steers the direction that their products tend to follow. So I don't know whether that's something that is going on in the background with regards to DTS and LG, but this, I thought I'd just make a quick video, seeing as somebody asked me the question. If I keep coming down, I think there was a comment, I can't remember whether it was on here or not, but I remember seeing a comment just detailing that basically at the moment, as far as everybody's concerned, that the eORC pass-through is seen as a bug, but it's not acknowledged by LG. So at the moment it's not something that they're really going to do anything about with regards to software updates or anything like that. Anyway, coming back to the comparison page, if we just keep going down, so with regards to the actual hardware on the sound output, so it looks to me like it's exactly the same. So same 40-watt speakers. Now on the direction there, they've only got front firing, whereas the C9 is obviously down firing. I'm guessing that's probably just a mistake on the website, because if you didn't have the stand installed, the stand is what actually channels the sound and it sends it forward. So if you didn't have that installed, then there would be down firing speakers, because there won't be any exposed speakers to actually enable you to send them forward, to have actual front facing speakers. So yeah, here is where we get to it, where the DTS decoder has been removed. Coming down to smart TV interfaces, everything on this is pretty much the same. You've got a few hotel mode. I'm not sure if that would actually be of any use to anybody. That seems like it would probably be something more of a demo. And now down to power, everything's exactly the same. HDMI's exactly the same. So most of this, obviously eARC supported on both, just listed slightly differently. In dimensions, I'm expecting most of this stuff to be the same as well. Weight, they've actually managed to reduce slightly, probably because they've removed the DTS decoder. Actually, yeah, the other thing, the remote I believe is slightly different on the C10. The reason for that is I believe there's a dedicated button for filmmaker mode. I think that's the one that they've actually added. I remember seeing it in one of the reveal videos, and somebody mentioned it. They didn't actually show the remote, but somebody did mention that there's a dedicated button for one of the picture modes. So I'm guessing that probably will be filmmaker mode. Most of this is exactly the same. OSD has one extra language, and everything else default off. AI recommendation, so by default they're turning it on the C10, that is. ThinQ app, and that's it.